Welcome to ANIDA Day, a day of culture, connection, and most importantly, community engagement. ANIDA Day is a celebration, but it's also a day that we expose ideas to you. My name is Nicola Donkor. I've been working at ANIDA for 4 years now, and while I've been here, I've learned so much, especially about using my voice. When I joined ANIDA, I found myself pretty quiet, mostly keeping to myself. But over the years, I've gained confidence and learned how to use my voice. I have learned that experience and knowledge can give me confidence to speak up and act on the things that matter most to me, like supporting children facing poverty, giving women opportunities for self-empowerment, determining a clearer understanding of social and economic justice, and also providing opportunities for universal access to education. Our voices can be powerful tools for change. I know this is a virtual event, but I want all of us to try something. If you're sitting with someone, just look to them and say, "You can make a world of difference." If you're sitting by yourself, just say it to yourself, "I can make a world of difference."
I can make a world of difference.
You can make a world of difference.
I can make a world of difference.
I can make a world of difference.
We can make a world of difference.
You can make a world of difference.
You can make a world of difference.
How did that feel? Great, right? I know it's a small step, but it's one step closer towards reaching your goal. Here at ANIDA, we believe that this will create an exponential effect and encourage people to spread the light. This year, for ANIDA Day, we want to spread our light to Liberia and introduce our child sponsorship program, Hope for Tomorrow. You've already made a difference today by tuning in to our very first virtual event. How, you may ask? Well, you're here to educate yourself, and that's the very first step. So sit back, relax, and let's learn more about ANIDA.
Africa. When the music of Africa beats in the wind, my blood pulses to its rhythm. I used to live right beside here, Liberia. In fact, I was born in Ivory Coast and lived there for most of my life. And during my time, I met several Liberians who had to flee from the country because of all the hardships and the tragedies they went through over the years. But you know, people in Liberia are also our brothers and sisters, and they just need a helping hand. And even if they still continue to struggle to these days, there has been huge improvement in helping people succeed in hopes of a brighter future. Liberia is calling. Thanks for calling, ANIDA. Karen speaking.
Oh, hail Liberia, hail.
A sub-Saharan nation on the western coast of Africa, the country of Liberia, has been on a 200-year journey of upheaval, transition, and rebuilding. Liberia has been marred by a history of violence, oppression, and corruption. But it is ANIDA's aim to provide support to Liberia's children as they grow to become the future of their country's stability and prosperity. Liberia was established in 1822 by the American Colonization Society as a place for American slave owners to send former American slaves. The land that is Liberia was purchased from a local tribesman, and the country's capital, Monrovia, was named after the then American president, James Monroe. In 1847, Liberia became the first independent nation in Africa. However, slavery was still a key tenet as the resettled former American slaves, called Americo-Liberians, modeled new communities based on their experience of American society. It wasn't until 1980 with the effect of 2 world wars and the Cold War that the Americo-Liberian rule ended. However, internal unrest catalyzed a long period of intermittent civil war, resulting in the loss of 250,000 Liberian lives. In 2005, a transitional government came into place, and Liberia held its first peaceful democratic elections. The country began the slow process of rebuilding. Unfortunately, the outbreak of Ebola in 2014 wreaked more death on the country and caused many investors and aid works to evacuate. Liberia's economy went into a recession, which it is still striving to climb out of today. High inflation rates caused food prices to double over the course of 2019. Today, the population of Liberia is just shy of 5 million, 40% of which is under the age of 15. Clearly, the youth are the future of Liberia.
Sorry I had to pause the video. I just wanted to let you all know that we'll be playing a fun interactive trivia game.
To access the trivia game, you will go to our website www.anida.org and click on ANIDA Day Trivia. Several questions will be asked about Liberia, and you will choose the answer you feel is most correct. Remember to submit your contact details for a chance to win an ANIDA Day gift hamper.
Now that you have learned a bit about Liberia, it's time to test your knowledge, so we hope you guys remember a few key points. We'll be doing a trivia game, and participants will get a chance to win an ANIDA gift hamper.
True or false, Liberia was one of the top 3 countries that became the most affected by the Ebola virus.
What year was the Declaration of Independence issued? 1800, 1847, 1900, 1850.
True or false? Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was the first female head of state in Africa.
What is the capital city of Liberia? Kanta, Monrovia, Fishtown, Washington.
True or false? Was Liberia founded by free people of color from the United States?
The trivia question will be available on ANIDA website until the end of the day. Feel free to answer now or after the virtual event.
Thanks for playing with us. We'll be announcing the winners at the end of the day on our various social media platforms, so be sure to follow us at ANIDA.org. Now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Through all the hardships and tragedies, we know that the people in Liberia are our brothers and sisters in need of a helping hand. We believe if we come together and shine our light, the people of Liberia will feel the love of Christ through our deeds. This year, that light will spread to the country of Liberia.
The size of your dreams must always exceed your current capacity to achieve them. If your dreams do not scare you, they are not big enough.
That was a great quote from Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the 24th President of Liberia. She was the first world-elected Black female president and the first woman ever appointed head of state in Africa. Here in ANIDA, we dream to break down all barriers to education for all the children in the world. We believe that education should be a right and not a privilege. Our Hope for Tomorrow program started 24 years ago with just 5 kids in a village in Ghana. Since then, this program has educated thousands of children in both Ghana and Jamaica. Child sponsorship offers essential intervention that raises a child's self-esteem and aspirations, creating wellness, quality education, and social support through the meaningful connection with your child. One hope, one dream, one tomorrow, Liberia.
My name is Abieso David Gono. I'm a Liberian. I work for ANIDA as the registered agent. The current education situation in Liberia is fragile. Since the war, civil war, and then the different pandemic Liberia has had, its education system and structure have been left in ruin. So currently Liberia has a lack of skilled and qualified teachers. Liberia also has a very poor learning environment, which most of the time has contributed to the poor performance and learning of the students. So indeed, Liberia has need to recruit more manpower, qualified and trained teachers, and also to encourage students who are lingering in the streets because they feel that the environment for learning is not quite good enough. So they have most of the time left the classroom and they are in the street. So the need to encourage them, bring them back to the classroom is urgent. It is extremely important to have the Hope for Tomorrow program in Liberia because it will resuscitate the children's life. It will bring it back to life. It's as though the Liberian children are hopeless. Their hope has gone dead. So Hope for Tomorrow is going to reawaken their hope. It's going to bring them a meaning for the future because right now their future is blurred. They don't seem to know whether they will ever have a better or brighter future. So if Hope for Tomorrow is supported and has the necessary support, the only thing it will do for the Liberian children is that it will make their lives to have a meaning, it will make their lives to become better, it will help them to really get back on path as their lives have been shattered. So Hope for Tomorrow will help to remend their life back, put their broken lives together.
Oh hey, I know what you're thinking. I'm still working here at the food bank even on a Sunday. There's always lots of things to do, but I couldn't miss our very first virtual event. Those stories, those children, that's what motivates me. Speaking of motivation, we have a guest speaker today. He's the president of the Liberian Association in Canada. He's also the co-founder of Empowerment Square, and he has a compelling story to tell you. I'm proud to introduce to you Leo Johnson.
My name is Leo Napolu Johnson, and I am the Executive Director of Empowerment Square. Having to leave Liberia as a young boy fleeing the Civil War was no easy task. At first, I didn't fully understand what was happening, but when I found myself on the refugee camp in the Ivory Coast, which was the neighboring country at the time, still in my school uniform, a lot ran through my mind. It was impossible to fully understand the gravity of what was happening. But one thing stuck with me, and that was the fact that I was safe where I was compared to what was then going on in Liberia. I spent the next 4 years on the refugee camps in the Ivory Coast, where I completed my high school in the refugee school system that had been set up by educators who have fled Liberia. I was too young when the war started in Liberia to understand a lot of things, but I wasn't too young to remember the killings. I wasn't too young to remember the bodies littered around the streets. I wasn't too young to remember the rockets that fell next door to us. I wasn't too young to remember running with family, with my parents, during those days when we came under intense attacks. But when I was in the Ivory Coast on the refugee camp, I had to think for myself, what am I going to do with myself as a young boy, without my family, without my parents? I managed to finish my high school, and then another war broke out in the Ivory Coast. I then fled on to Ghana, where I had to be on another refugee camp with over 50,000 Liberian refugees who had also fled the war in Liberia and in Ivory Coast. It was another time of reflection again. And many times I had to think to myself, did we do anything wrong? What did we do as young people to be caught up in all of this that was going on? But truth be told, there was no time to stop and think because I had to find food to eat. I had to think about where I would sleep at night. I had to think about what would happen tomorrow. I had to be worried about what would I do if I felt sick and there was no hospital. And all of that was the reality of life for 8 years in the Ivory Coast and in Ghana until I had the opportunity to be resettled to Canada as a government-sponsored refugee at the time in a category described as unaccompanied minor. When I got here, I will be honest, I didn't know what to think of it. We all had this illusion that when you get to Canada, everything would be great, life would just start, and you would be just fine. What no one told us that the challenges that people face when they got here, many a times reminded you of the same challenges you face on the refugee camp. I got here and quickly realized that a lot of children who were coming here in terms of whether they were immigrants or they were newcomers or they were refugees, our systems were not really set up to accommodate their needs. Our systems were not set up to be able to empower them to become productive members of this society. It didn't take me too long. It took me 1 week in a hotel to realize that with the number of young people that I was with, but also when I went to these interviews with immigration and realized there was really nothing there tailored to support me who came to Canada without my family, without my mother, without my father. What would I have done was up to me. I took direct interest in understanding how young newcomers to Canada were integrating. And that's where the importance of education became a reality for me. I say this to people. Many of you think that I've just always been this serious, focused young man wanting to get education. Maybe so, but a large part of it is due to my mother. The one thing that my mother always drilled into us was that we didn't have a choice but to become educated. And when she meant educated, she meant it in a holistic way, not just the limited academic education we got. And that is why I was always under this pressure that the day I got to see my mother again, I will have no excuse if she asked me, did you become educated? I would have had to answer to that question, given the opportunities that were available to me in Canada. And my fear of not being able to respond to that question, that yes, I was able to take advantage of every opportunity I got to be educated, has been my driving force ever since. And that is why I decided I would stop at nothing than to get myself educated. But I also took it one step further when I reflected on all of the people who put their lives on the line for me to have survived on a refugee camp. All of the people who did not have to share their food with me, but went out of their way to actually do that. I had to think about, what do I do with that incredible gift that those people gave me? And the best thing I could do was to ask myself, how can I facilitate opportunities for other young people to become educated, to gain access to education? And that is why I'm here. That is why I do what I do. And that is why Empowerment Square as an organization was established about 13 years ago with a lot of my colleagues and community members who supported this idea, where we now support about 250 young people annually in Hamilton, Canada, with access to education and post-secondary education. But we've also taken it further now in Liberia, where I often tell people the only hope for a country like Liberia coming out of close to 2 decades of civil war, the only hope that remains for this country is the opportunity to grant access to education to thousands of young people, over 250,000 of them who are former child soldiers, is to give them an opportunity to reestablish some sort of value in themselves as to what they can contribute to their community. My friends, wherever you are, whatever you do, whatever you can do to help the cause of education, whether it's in Liberia or in Canada, I urge you to, because it is the only most sustainable pathway that we can use to support not just young people, but to secure the future of generations to come. Because education would allow people to access information, and it will allow people to determine what they do with that information for their own benefits. It is not up to us to save people because we do not fully understand their problems. But guess what? We can support them to access the resources they need to be able to confront their problems. And this is exactly what education does. And like I said, This is not about an academic exercise of letter grades. This is an exercise of allowing people access to the opportunities that they need to fully understand their surroundings so that they can leverage what is available to them, so that they can leverage the gifts, the talents, the resilience that they already have to change their own stories, to tell their own stories, and to use it to inspire their fellow human beings, their fellow citizens, as to how you can get to a place of confronting your problems, facing your fears, and building a future that makes sense to yourself and to your people. I am incredibly honored to have been invited by ANIDA to be speaking on this ANIDA Day celebration. I know that ANIDA has set on an incredible journey to go to Liberia and figure out how they can support this quest to grant education to thousands of young people who are literally dying every day to access it. I want to say to ANIDA, this is an incredible journey, but I also want to say, thanks for being brave enough to step up in a situation where many people think there is no way out, where many people think the problems are just too much to even venture to deal with it. It's not going to be an easy one, I must assure you, but I must also recognize your incredible drive and determination to do whatever you can do. And let me say this to you, it does not matter whether you support 10 young people in Liberia to gain access to education or 100 young people. It is not about the numbers, because the multiplier effect to every child that can get access to education is countless. So I want to say to all of you, join this effort. If you can support financially, support. If you can support morally, support. If you can support by giving some advice, support. Because this journey is not one that is already figured out. This is a journey that ANIDA will continue to explore and understand how to adapt, how to reimagine, how to revision, to ensure that the needs of young people in Liberia are at the center of the work that they do. I encourage you all, because like I said, education is the greatest equalizer. And if we are determined to make sure that we can grant access to young people in a place like Liberia that have seen so much suffering, so much death, so much poverty, to the extent that anyone under the age of 35 in Liberia has never known what normal times look like. This is an incredible opportunity to do whatever little or whatever much you can do to support this journey. I want to thank ANIDA for taking on this challenge, and I can assure you that we will continue to keep our doors open and do whatever we can do to support this effort.
Partnerships are extremely important. This year, we multiplied our partnerships and multiplied our impact. In 2021, we're interested in connecting and partnering with you. All you have to do is go on our website, www.anida.org, and subscribe to our newsletter. You'll get stories and updates of what's going on in Liberia and the impact we're all making. Thank you again for joining us at this year's ANIDA Day, and we look forward to seeing you in 2022. Remember, together we can make a world of difference.